So guys, this is landlocked king salmon time of the year, and so I'm going to show you a couple tricks that I do. Um, Basically, when you're trolling for landlocked kings, you're going to be using a dodger, and you're going to be using anything in that 8 inch to 9 inch around in there, um, for a little bigger than the stuff that you would use for kokanee. But I'm going to show you because I tie a lot of my own leaders up. You want to use something to imitate the smotes that are in these lakes, because that's what they feed on. They feed on little smotes, and they're about maybe 2 to 3 inches long. So I'm going to use these hoochies when I tie these up. So I'm going to show you how I do this. Some of the things you're going to need are, I use Gamakatsu hooks, which are size 2, and I'm going to run 2 hooks. You're going to need some little beads like this. I use different sizes and different colors, depends on what I'm trying to do, but I use different ones. And then um, I use, like I said, I'm going to show you a little trick, and the trick that I use is with bobber stoppers. And then I use a Gamakatsu hook. I made a little tool. This is just a little piece of fine wire. It's got a hook on the end, and I use a little end to poke through the top of the heads, and it just makes it a lot easier to get the line and stuff through. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I do this. And basically, I'm using these hoochies, and I use a fluorocarbon line. So this is 15-pound test. I use different ones. I use a lot of Yozuri. I use Sun line. Um, Sometimes I use P line, Trilene. There's just a lot of different lines on the market, and then whatever ones you like, I use it. I use fluorocarbon. I don't know if it's necessary, but I use it. And basically, what I'm doing is you have a good chance of hooking uh, landlocked king up to in the teens. So you want to have a leader that's going to hold. You don't want to use 8-pound tests like you use for kokanee. I use 15. So basically, how I do it, one of the most important things about um, doing your leader length and everything correctly is I take this and I want to do it. It needs to be 2.5 times the length of the dodger. So since I'm tying it, I'm going to cut. So I go 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to cut it. So basically, when I get done, it's going to be 2.5 times the length of the dodger. Too long of a leader is no good. Shorter is better, because basically, if it's too long, you won't get any of the action. When the hoochie's trailing behind the dodger, you want it close. So I'm going to show you how I do this. So I'm going to take, like I said, I tie a lot of my own. So I'm taking the hook and I put the line through the eye about maybe 2 inches. Then I bring the other end of the line and I lay it the opposite direction. Then I squeeze it, and the line that's laid here, the long part, the loop, I'm going to take it around the eye and go back toward the bend of the hook. And I want to do this about 10 or 12 times and then stop. And then I'm going to wet the line that I'm going to pull through, and I just pull it and then snug it real tight. And that's what you call a snell knot. So the line is snelled along the shank right here, and then the line comes out through the end. Then I'll take my cutters here and cut the leader off, and that's the first hook. So it's tied. You want to come through the center, you want to snell it so that the line is straight, the hook is straight. See how it sits straight? Okay, then I take the second hook, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take the line, put it through the eye about 2 inches, take the hook that I just tied, lay it behind the hook where I want it. So I'm going to have it real close to the bend right here. So the eye is real close. Lay it there. Take the loop in like I did the first time. Take it, and I'm going to wrap it 12 times back toward the bend of the hook. Wet it a little bit and then pull the end. Then I snug it really tight, pull it tight, and there's my double hook rig. So those hooks are real close to each other, hanging down just like this. Okay, so that's my hook. Now I'm going to take my bobber stopper, and you're going to see on a bobber stopper, these are 6 to 8 pound test stoppers. I'm putting them on 15-pound tests so they ride snug. See the loop on the end? You put the line through about a 1/4 of an inch. And then once the line goes through there about a 1/4 inch, you just grab this and pull it off. And it slides right up the line. See it on the line right here? So it's on the line. So I'm going to slide this down about 2 inches to the hook. And I'm going to take a bead. Doesn't matter what color because it's going to be going inside. And I slide the bead down to the bobber stopper. Like that. So see how it's stopped right there? So this now becomes adjustable. So now I'm going to take my hoochie, take my tool, and I'm going to poke this through the top of the hoochie. So all I'm doing is just poking this so I got a hole there. Then I'm going to turn the end around with the end with the hook on it, and I'm going to poke it through. So now it comes out. See how it comes out through the end right here? Super easy. So then you take the end. Because if you were to take the line and try to push it through, you'd be there 2 days. So I put this loop on the hook, slide this down, and pull it through. And see how the line came through? So the thing's on the line. I slide it down, and then when I get to where the bead is, I stop, and then I grab the bead with my fingers, and I squeeze it until I get it inside the head. So do it like this, and it popped in there. See it in there, that chartreuse thing? Then once I get it, I slide it down to the bobber stopper. Now this becomes adjustable. So now if I slide it down, just so the hook is at the end of the skirt, is perfect. So if I want it higher or lower, I just move that bobber stopper and see how it hangs. Slide it down, just so it comes right to the hook like that, and I'm done. So this is my bait right here. So basically now, if I had to keep those hooks down to the end down here, I would have to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beads on here. So what happens when you put 5 beads on here is it adds so much weight. When that thing's swinging behind the dodger, it's going to be going kind of like, slow motion to me. Now, when I run only 1 bead in here, it's light. Now I'm going to get the radical action that sometimes makes those fish go crazy and bite. Because there's a difference when I'm out there fishing, and there might be 10, 20 boats out there, and most of the time I could be in like the top 3. There's a reason for it, and this is it right here. I'm telling you guys. So I'm more and more giving out some of these little clues that helps me catch a lot more fish. So then I come to the end. You're not going to see me using a lot of swivels because on these Dodgers, they have ball bearing swivels that turn and they do not get tangled. All of them come with this is a barrel swivel one. The ones that have the ball bearing ones turn a little bit easier, but you're not going to have any trouble. So basically, I just take this line, I make a loop, and they call this I think it's called a half hitch. I'm not sure what you call it. So I make a loop, go around it, take the line and go back through the 2 loops, pull a little loop through the big loop. And I have this little end here. I cut the leader, always leave about a 1/4 inch, and there's my loop. So then I'll take my dodger and put it through the loop and clip it. And there we go. So we have the hoochie about 2.5 times the length of this dodger. So when the dodger's kicking around like this, the hoochie's flopping around. So basically it's a lot less weight because I don't have to put 4 or 5 beads in between to get the hook space down. Then I'll take a little piece of anchovy. So if you go back and look at some of my videos, I did some videos on how to cure the bait. So I'll show you what I do is I'm going to make a piece out here and kind of do it out of paper so that you guys can see what I'm doing. But I would take a piece of anchovy and cure it. And you could go back and look at my videos that I did when I cured it. And basically what I did was I put it on rock salt, and I have a little piece of bait like this. And then I stick it on the first hook right by the skirt. So I'm gonna poke my bait in like that, and I only run it through one hook. The other hook's gonna freewheel. So it's just like this with a piece of anchovy on there. And basically what I'm doing is I stack a lot because I only have one downrigger on each side. So I'll put the first one out about 50 or 60 feet, lock it in the downrigger, send it down, go put in the distance. It depends on how I'm marking the fish. You could space it, and it depends how deep you are. So I usually go around 10 or 12 feet. And then I let the top one out half the distance. So I let it out 20 to 25 feet, clip it in, and then send them down. So I'm covering 2 depths of the water column, and it's very effective. And I'll learn, how deep those fish are. But I could also see them on my graph. There's another way of doing this. Gamakatsu makes these hooks here, and so does Rocky Mountain. They're actually pre-tied kokanee hooks. And they're only size I've seen them in is 4. I think Rocky Mountain makes it in 4 and 2. So these are a lot easier. So this one comes pre-tied. So it's tied up already. You got the leaders are a mile long, so you need to trim them up. So basically it comes like this. And this leader is 12-pound test, and which is plenty adequate. Like I said, I use 15. And I do use these once in a while, for kokanee, but for the kings, once in a while I will, but I rather use my own because I could go heavier line, and I also trust my knots. But these are snelled the same way I just did it and showed you how to do it. And basically, I'm going to take this, and here again, I'm going to go, this one's already tied on, so I'm not going to waste anything. So I'm going to go 1, 2 and a half. And then I'm going to cut it because I got my leader length. So here we go here. So I got my hooks and everything. First thing I got to do is put a bobber stopper on it. So I get my bobber stoppers. So every time you pull one of these off, the wire shrinks. So you got to take a sharp point or a hook or something and open the loop back up. Stick it through, lift one up, pull it close as you can, and then slide it on. And then pull it down. So there's the bobber stopper right here. Pulling it down about 2 inches. And then I grab a bead. Like I said, it doesn't matter what color, but I'm going to show you what I do on some of them. So find that little hole, poke that through, and send the bead down. So there's my bead, and this one's the one that was already tied. I'm going to take my skirt, my hoochie, take my wire. See the top right here? Poke the hole in it like that. Take the other end with the little hook. You see that little hook right there? Poke it in, send it through, and you see it right there. I'm going to grab the end, make a little loop. These don't take no time to make. After you get doing them, they're very easy. You're going to make a bunch of them so that you can make enough where you don't have to make them for the whole season if you want. So now I'm sliding this down. I get that bead right to where the skirt is, twist it around a little bit, and then I'm going to work my way and squeeze the bead If you want, you could take this out like this and the bead before you shove it in there like I just did, because you got to squeeze it to get it out, and then just wet it a little bit. So just spit on it or put your tongue on there, get it a little bit wet, and then stick it in. It's easier. And then I just stick it in. See how it went into the head? You can see the shadow of it. Went all the way in, so I know it's set in. And then I'm going to slide this down till it hits the bobber stopper. And then I want that hook. So see that hook is a little bit too far in. So I grab this, slide the bobber stopper up until I get it perfectly right to the end. Just like that. Now this one, I'm going to take another small bead, and I don't know what it does, but sometimes they like it with the bead on the top of the outside. So I go like this. Put the bead on so it sits on the head like that. And then I just put this loop knot on the end. I make a loop, make another loop, and then line through the center and then pull it. And there you go. That's a killer for those king salmon. And you'd be surprised by making your own how more effective it is than if you went and bought a store-bought one, because you could do a lot of adjustments. And like I said, the way that I space these, it actually makes the lure more radical. It's a very effective way. I do an array of different colors, different dodgers, and you always want to experiment. I watch my graphs all the time, see what I'm seeing, and then see how they react to the bait, and keep changing it up till you start catching them. But the trick is make sure you cure that bait, have your hooks in the right position, and you be ready to catch some kings. So if you like this video, hit that like, please subscribe because it'll really help my channel. And if you want to leave me a comment, you can ask me any questions, and I'll get back to you within a couple days. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next week.